Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The state of the nation is the topic of discussion today in our country. As we hope for the best coming from our leaders, but we must ask ourselves one or two, three questions that are these promises must be delivered. Will they deliver the promises which they made? Again, what might be wrong with our leaders? Why do they always change after each and every election? Because if they come to you and beg you for votes, they humble as if there is no tomorrow. Ekuro Aukot is now coming out and telling the real picture from our leaders. Speaking in an interview on State of the Nation discussion, where the host was Trevor Ombija, the courtesy of Citizen TV. The video is very clear that leaders have failed, and some of them went to an extent of even proposing the presidential term limit by increasing to another 2 years. And that is whatever we want to break down into today's political analysis. Remember, there are also busybodies called CS, MPs, senators who are interested on this because they want to retain their seat. They have realized that the people in the Republic of Kenya, they no longer have interest among themselves. Let's take a look and listen to whatever these leaders were saying or discussing in the interview.
Control, and that's why maybe Honorable Manzo is talking about capture of parliament and all that, so that he can control and pass any law, whatever he wants in parliament. So there is hardly any work that happens in the second year. Most likely, President William Ruto and his administration will start working next year for 1 year. Then the last 2 years of his administration will be campaign for re-election. That is the pattern if you look at through all the election patterns in our history. And we capture that in Punguza Mzigo, and that's why we propose perhaps it's time to give a president a one term of only 7 years, which is quite sufficient enough. And even if you look at on average elsewhere in the world where there are two-term presidencies constitutionally, the average is either between 4 and 5 years. Except maybe perhaps in the case of Rwanda, I think it is 7 years. But on average, it is between 4 and 5 years. Including some of the most powerful, successful countries in the world, the United States and whatever, and others, it's 4 years. Nobody's complaining about that. So if you do not know what you can do to people in 5 years or in 4 years, then you are not worth even to be in that office. Now, the proposal to extend the term limit of the president and that of members of parliament, do they deserve it? Absolutely not. Even listening to this table alone, you can even see the infighting between the members of parliament, meaning actually they are hardly work for the people of Kenya. So why should Kenyans reward them with more terms, more salaries, when we can actually see they can't even handle matters disaster? There is even no single motion in parliament today to discuss about this national calamity. So why do these people deserve?
But should it fail? Should it sail through, hypothetically? Yeah. When does it take effect?
I don't know what he has proposed. When he has proposed, it depends with his, what maybe transitional clauses in the bill. Like I said, I've not read that bill. As a matter of fact, I'm also tempted not to ever look at it because I think it's nonsensical. It is of no value to the current situation we are in Kenya. In Kenya today, we are dealing with many issues. We are dealing with doctor strike. We are dealing with cash trap in education. We are dealing with floods. We are dealing with many other things, anger, unemployment, and all those things. Yeah. Corruption, theft of public money. These are national priority issues.
Okay.
Is term limit of a president of a lazy, captured parliament a priority for Kenya right now? Hell no. It is not. And it's a debate we should not even be discussing. And by the way, I'm not afraid to say, shame on you, Cherargei, for suggesting such a motion at a time when Kenyans are actually suffering. Kenyans are dying in our hospitals because doctors are on strike. Yet a government is proposing about, let me tell you, Trevor, a figure here, that the government is proposing about 9.14 billion for chief administrative secretaries, when there are already 2 judgments before the court that say these positions are unconstitutional. But the government is defying it. They want to spend 9.14 billion for chief administrative secretaries. Now they're talking about extension of term limit. Where are our priorities as legislators?
Okay. Ruku, is this a conversation we should have? And when it comes to the floor, will you support?
Trevor, that is Senator Sergei's opinion. He has a right as a legislature to come up with any bill which he thinks, in his own opinion, can change or can make the government to be more efficient or running of the country to be more efficient.
Will you support it when it comes to the floor?
From where I stand, this is completely unnecessary registration. There is nobody in the parliament or in executive, that is the president, interested with the 7-year term limit.
Okay.
Members of parliament are not interested. I am not interested in a term of 7-year term. I know the president is going to serve for 10 years, and after 10 years, there will be 5 years. There will be another year. We will re-elect President William Ruto 2027 in a margin that no other president has ever been re-elected.
We will see.
With such a margin.
We will see that.
Come 2027.
Not with all these flowers.
But having said that, it is important to note it is Senator Cherargei's opinion.
Okay.
We are not concerned about the 7-year term limit.
Okay.
President William Ruto, I am sure he is not concerned about extending his term in office.
Okay.
He is interested in serving Kenyans for 5 years and get another mandate in 2027, which he will get with almost 90 to 95%.
Okay. 95%.
Of course.
Okay.
And he will serve up to 2032, and he will retire and go and do other things of national importance, like
we'll see what happens.
Kenyans together.
2027. Yes, Manzo.
Well, I want to say that. Are you
interested in the 7-year term?
No, not at all. First of all, in Mexico, they have the presidential term is 7 years and only 1 term.
Okay.
And I think that's maybe what Cherargei must have wanted to borrow. But when you look at Kenya Kwanza generally, this is their own idea. And therefore, subsequently, it is the idea of the president.
There is no Kenya
What it
idea.
means
it is Cherargei's idea. It's not Kenya Kwanza idea.
Cherargei is Kenya Kwanza. No. What it means is that if
he's the president's man.
Yes, he's the president's man. What it means is that if by some way this legislation goes through and there is a referendum, it means then the president will start 7 years afresh. The 5 years you are going through now will not be counted at all. And that works to about 14, 20, 21 years. 20 years of Ruto regime.
If it goes through in a referendum, it will start afresh.
Yes, it will start afresh 7 years if it goes through a referendum. And with the sort of thinking like the member for Bear, in a referendum, you still go and vote for it. So therefore, President Ruto should stop this idea, should respect the current constitution. The country, the people need to be served with all the problems we have. There is no time for such a thing as 7-year term of the president, but we know they are greedy enough. They are just testing the waters with Cherargei. This is their own idea.
It will come to a referendum.
It must go, then if that's the case, then Kenya will have a referendum.
And it will be in a raft of many other issues. And you're saying it will start afresh?
Yes, of course.
Okay. This administration has no room for it.
I think it will depend on the transitional clauses in the bill. It's not automatic.
I'll have Cherargei here next week, hopefully.
So I hope he comes.
Trevor, you can be sure this administration has no time for any referendum. It has only time to transform this country, and this country will be transformed by President William Ruto.
Madenge, close this conversation for us.
Thank you, Trevor. There is a difference between a motion, a bill, and how the two of them
this is a bill.
Add up.
This is a bill.
Please wait. Please wait, Senator.
He still has the floor.
This bill, by the way, because Cherargei is a senator, you will have the first bite.
And I will oppose it.
And we will wait to see the outcome. Democracy is such that the majority will have their way and the minority will have their say. as a Kenya Kwanza and a UDA elected member of parliament, without the fear of contradiction, President William Ruto has not intimated or indicated a desire to serve beyond the provisions of the current constitution. That does not take away Senator Cherargei's right of expression.
Many plans is in a man's heart, but only the purpose of God prevailed. You may have plans, but God also have a plan with you. 2022 General August election, I normally like to compare that because that was the year Kenyans were having hope and trust as compared to any other election before. If there is something which is going to hurt Kenyans by any leader we have in the country, is this wrong move they are doing to our people, to the people I mean. Ekuro Aukot is coming out clear and saying the mistakes which the government have done. I normally love this man because the truth of the matter huwa anaongea ukweli. And I'm very much aware and sure that Ekuro Aukot akisimama rais vile alijaribu anaweza penya kidogo. He might be even number 2 or number 3. I'm very much confident on saying that. Because this man is the only man with sober mind. She is feeding the UDA MPs wisdom. You see how wana defense presidential term limit. Hawajui after that term limit pia wanaweza ongeza. Because whatever have been implemented in the constitution, it can be misused to another level where we were not expecting. Now, the significance of this discussion. The significance of this discussion. Number 1, it reflects the failure of the government to the people. Number 2, Ekuro Aukot is not humiliating any person in the country, but is speaking about the facts and what should be done, corrected now, not to haunt us in future, not to haunt grandchildren or our children in future. Number 3, the truth of the matter is that our country is headed into a wrong direction. This is something which should not be hidden or hide in any place, but it should be exposed publicly for any Kenyans to understand and know it better. Then 4th is that if Ruto want to be safe and secure the situation where he is now experiencing under his administration, he must seal the loopholes of corruption. He must ensure that he is ready to fight for corruption in our country. Because there are those who are cartels just buying time in this government, but they have interest and aim just to satisfy themselves together with their family members, but nothing they will do to the people. You see, you've listened to the clip I've just displayed. Ekuro Aukot is defending and telling whatever to be supposed to be done, because this man have experience in every government administration. There are those who propose the presidential term limit. There are those who oppose as we speak. But our aim is to remain reunited, focused, and avoid just stamping work and deliver promises to the people efficiently. When we do that, then we are going to aim into a right direction, as expected by millions of Kenyans across the country. So that message of Ekuro Aukot is very clear and telling the truth on what should be done for us to rescue our country. Ladies and gentlemen, because of time, I want to end this analysis at this point. Please consider to give this video a thumb of like, share it to our family, friends and relatives. I will appreciate you so much if you do so. Meanwhile, what are your take or observation you've seen our leaders discussing on that platform?